Annie, the Dark Child, has been a popular pick in low elo solo queue for years. Historically touted as the go-to easy elo raiser by people like LS, Annie, while showing great success in aiding bronze and silver players reach greater heights, has rarely seen the light of competitive play. That is until now. After the recent set of Annie buffs, or nerfs according to this graphic, Annie has been popping up here and there in competitive play, showing up mid lane and even as a support. So what changed with the patch? Well, a lot. But the changes here have to do mostly with Annie's abilities receiving quality of life buffs that enable her to be a little bit more versatile than as a point and click AP nuker. Basically, the important changes were that Annie's passive is now fully charged on spawn, Molten Shield is now on lower cooldown, has higher shield power and reflects more damage, and Tibbers is tankier and faster. Classically, Annie's strengths lay in two things: her ability to burst down squishy targets with her spell rotation, and the ability to land AoE stuns on her targets with fast casting spells like W and R, which are basically unreactable. Although these things are pretty strong merits overall, Annie's overall low ability range and lack of mobility made her a poor laner in more coordinated pro play, and most importantly, her one-dimensional playstyle as a stun bot really hampered her potential as a viable pick in competitive League of Legends. Now, however, we see that Annie has accumulated enough merits to justify being picked in pro play. We'll list a few points, then see moments in competitive play where Annie's strengths and weaknesses were laid out. Annie's passive being charged automatically from Fountain actually gives Annie and her team a lot of priority level 1. Before, Annie would have to take W and use it off cooldown to build her stun from game start, but now Annie can start both Q and W to be a more potent threat when contesting jungle or lane bushes level 1, leading for some more creative opening strategies. Molten Shield buffs cover a lot of Annie's earlier problems with range and laning. The added shield value and bonus retaliation damage actually makes Annie's E damage a trade threat, not to mention first strike pops off of it. Combined with Annie's auto attack range of 625, which is higher than most AD carries by the way, the new and updated shield lets Annie retaliate against her historic weakness of long range trades. This holds true for both mid and support, as Annie is able to use Molten Shield on her AD carry. Finally, Tibbers is a beast. To the uninformed, it is easy to dismiss Tibbers as a simple summoning gimmick that just accompanies the stun and the damage. However, Tibbers is much more capable than just being a source of a little extra damage on top of a burst combo. A distinguishing factor that seems to set apart the good Annie players from the mediocre ones seems to be Tibbers' usage. Tibbers, after the initial summon, can clear waves, do jungle camps, walk around for vision, and aid teams with map control. We can see pro players make use of this new bear beast to do all sorts of things after the initial summon. To bolster her CC and engage potential, we see LCK mid laners opt for a Roa build with defensive boots rather than the traditional Luden's Echo burst damage mythic. To compensate for the lack of magic penetration, pro mid Annies also build Void Staff and Shadow Flame. On the support side, Shurelia's helps Annie get into range to land her CC on her targets. Zhonya's and Rylai's are built as well to complement Annie's survivability after her flash engage and CC potential with Tibbers. Of course, Annie's pain points still exist. At the end of the day, Annie's job in the game is to land huge stuns on isolated carries or clumped up teams. However, with her low spell range, it's sometimes impossible for her to get into good positions to land these stuns, and this is especially difficult in pro play where vision control and team coordination are at their peak. As a result, Annie is extremely reliant on her flash, and you could even say that Annie is not a champion without it. We see here in T1 vs Gen G, Faker is seen getting caught out multiple times by Delight's enchanted crystal arrow because he's refusing to spend his flash to dodge the ability. As more and more pros bring out Annie in the competitive scene, only time will tell whether Annie's success in competitive play is here to stay, or if her time in the spotlight will be cut short by counters and patches. As always, hope this was insightful to you guys, and I will catch you in the next one. Stay fresh.